Hey everyone, my guest today is Evan W. Turk, founding attorney and shareholder former attorney to President Donald Trump and CEO of American Rights Alliance, funded by Don Trump Jr. Evan is a distinguished legal authority known for his proficiency in family law and wealth strategies, an accomplished author, entrepreneur, and founder of the American Rights Alliance. Evan's career started in Princeton in finance, and he was trained on Wall Street prior to entering law. He is licensed to practice law in Florida, New Jersey, and is duly admitted to practice in front of the United States Tax Court. Welcome to the show, Evan. I want to thank you for taking your time to be here today.
Oh, well, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could tell the audience a little bit more about what you do and what drove you to do it.
Absolutely. So I am a trust and estates attorney. Been doing that for over 20 years, practicing law in Florida and New Jersey. And as of a couple of years ago, I was asked by...
Okay, so we had some technical difficulties here, but Evan was explaining the work of American Rights Alliance, which is a nonprofit organization and coalition of legal professionals, advocates, and strategists focused on defending the First Amendment, protecting election integrity, and promoting transparency in democratic processes. It primarily serves individuals, whistleblowers, and groups facing persecution, censorship, or legal challenges related to free speech, electoral misconduct, or civil liberties, often those targeted for questioning official narratives. ARA provides targeted, hands-on assistance to empower clients to speak freely, expose wrongdoing, and hold systems accountable. Their work emphasizes legal action, financial aid, and advocacy to combat suppression and ensure justice. By combining these efforts, ARA not only resolves immediate client needs, but also works to prevent future erosions of rights through systemic change. Clients can get involved via donations, volunteering, or submitting tips through their website, AmericanRightsAlliance.org. For those facing similar issues, ARA emphasizes a commitment to shielding voices without fear of being silenced or discredited. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
Call it a case for America, where we present our cases that we're working on to the audience. So everything is quite interested right now. So
Yeah, it is. I imagine you're very busy.
that's an understatement, but yes.
Yeah.
I'm reading a book right now on how to delegate. So yes.
Yeah, that's important. I know. I told my husband, I'm like, you're gonna have to start taking notes for me, because when I started this podcast, Biden was still president, and I mean, there wasn't that much happening per day, each day, and now it's like impossible to keep up.
Lightning speed. I mean,
yeah,
Trump alone the other day, I don't know how a 79-year-old can fly to Israel, then to Egypt, then fly back, and then present Erica Kirk at the White House and give in a live audience media event at night last night. So
yeah.
if he can do it, I think I really have no excuse, because I'm quite younger than he is.
Yeah. I honestly think about that all the time. If I get up like an hour early, I've got huge bags under my eyes and I'm barely functioning, and it's like, all right, and he looks fine doing it too. You'd think, I mean, I saw the shot of him flying back from the Middle East, and he did look tired, but it's like, I mean, he's been awake for how many hours?
Every time I travel, like even if I stay, like I travel a lot to DC, just the flight alone gets me tired. And when I travel to Europe or to the Middle East, it really takes me 2 or 3 days to feel like a human again, myself. But he's just used to it. Incredible.
Yeah. I hear he doesn't sleep on the planes either.
No, not that I
wouldn't be able to either, but
yes.
yeah. Wow. Yeah. So what is the I know you have some January 6th stuff, but what, like this week, what are you guys working on this week?
So we have this case right now that we're heavily involved in. It's a case where we believe the government is overstepping. It's our client. Her name is Shayna Gaviola. She's
Okay.
a mother from Fresno, California, that took her son and transported him to Missouri. She was having issues, parental issues, and she
Mm.
thought going to a Christian school would have been the solution. In the meantime, her son was getting an order from the court, an injunction to eliminate that from happening. And she, unaware of that, took him against his will to Missouri. And now she may face 2 years of jail time for that. They're
Oh,
using a
wow.
law that was based on, let's say you're going through a divorce with your husband and you have
Mhm.
young children, and the husband says, I'm taking my son or our children from, I live in Florida, from Florida to California. And you
Okay, we had more technical difficulties here, but it's the last time. I promise.
let me share with you some interesting information
Yeah.
about this case. So, this woman who's facing 2 years of jail time,
Mhm.
uh, never had a criminal record, has 6 children, 5 of the children never had issues with, just dealing with the situation.
Yeah.
It's possible. She's at a restaurant or a bar, and she runs into the prosecutor there, who
Okay.
doesn't realize she's the client. She's being prosecuted.
Mhm.
Starts hitting on her. Then she exits, goes to the restroom, comes back, and has someone from Department of Justice that's working on the other side to move this case to imprison her on the phone. We
Yeah.
were able to get the court records, the conversations between the two of them, and they were extremely inappropriate, talking about what they want to do with this woman in the form of a relationship, or when she's out of prison, what she will look like. And this is what we're dealing with. And you
Yeah.
never ever can expect the obvious, because whenever you think that you're going to get your standard case,
Mhm.
you're always thrown a curveball. And in this case, this was a major curveball into the
Yeah.
case. And you're dealing with one of those two that are trying to seek a position as a magistrate. And
Mhm.
being a magistrate, among other positions, you have to have the ability to have excellent wisdom, know what conflicts are. You have somebody who's going to be a federal magistrate in this situation that seems to lack common sense.
Yeah.
And these are challenges we're dealing with.
Yeah. It it never surprises me anymore how the people we are supposed to trust are some of the shadiest people that are in their position,
Yeah. I
unfortunately.
think I think the world, as it has evolved with
Mhm.
technology, with social media, I believe all of us have a little bit of narcissism in our core. It's
Yeah.
probably a survival, um, it's for survival purposes, I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
But with social media, you become the spotlight of your reality, and you're putting on a show for everyone else. And I
Yeah.
think it leads to your ego, because you're competing with others, and nobody puts a bad day on social media, or at least people that I follow, but they
Right.
put their picture in the best light.
Yeah.
Here I am with the president. I took a picture of, look how important I am. And everyone's like, wow, you're important.
Yeah.
And it feeds the ego. And then they take it to the next level, and they don't even realize
Yeah.
that they've evolved to a different person.
Yeah. Yes. I also think it gives people a platform that maybe wouldn't have had a platform, and
Yeah.
some people can get attention by manipulating social media, or I mean just using it for whatever purpose, where
Yeah.
instead of actually maybe having good ideas, you know, because the debates, like the presidential debates, I feel have been warped into something different, worse. They're
Yeah.
talking about, you know, stuff that you see on the internet instead of actual policy and what they're going to
Yeah,
do.
what happens a lot is the presidential debates or all political debates from the local municipalities all the way to the presidential
Hmm.
debates. What they are looking to do is get sound bites on social media. What they're looking to do is tell their constituents, look, this is what I support, and the other side, my opponent's against, but they're not interested in being candid. And I learned this years
Hmm.
ago, the difference between being honest and candid.
Yeah.
And I always give everyone this example. When I was a stockbroker, before I went to law school, I was a stockbroker. And I was 21. I looked like I was 12. I don't know why anyone would have invested in me. And obviously, I looked young, and people would always say to me, um, I'm just concerned. What happens if I lose money? What is your policy? I know your policy on picking right stocks and
Hmm.
investments. But what is your policy on selling? How do you cut your losses? And I could have been truthful to them and said, I have never lost a single penny from my client. But the candid response is, well, if you sign up, you become my first client. And I think what happens is people are misconstruing information to the point where they're lying, but
Yeah.
they're okay with it because they don't think they're lying. And when Trump, as an example, was speaking, one of his most famous statements that the mainstream media, if you want to call it mainstream, I call it the biased media, has been projecting as him as racist, saying that people who are skinheads, some of them are good people. That's not what he said. It was
Right.
completely out of context, but they go with it. And they still, even though we can prove time and again it's out of context, since it's out there in the public view, they take that and they use it as a talking point, even though they know whoever's using it knows or should know
Hmm.
by common sense that they're lying.
Yeah.
And that's the difference we have right now, which we never had before,
Yeah.
is that we have um, such a separation. It's almost like we're revisiting the Civil War.
Yeah.
And Abraham Lincoln is, Donald Trump's the new Abraham Lincoln. Not that I want to compare the two, completely different
Hmm.
in a lot of ways, but history may prove me right that, there is a great divide, and its divide is not getting anywhere
Yeah.
closer to the middle.
No, no, and I honestly think because there are some people that believe that once Trump is done for president and we move on to a different conservative candidate, that things will get better, and everyone blames the divide on Trump, and I don't think it's going to make a single bit of difference. The next person's just going to get called a Nazi and have things flipped around on them.
But the decorum has gotten so bad that we now expect it.
Yeah,
We expect it, and we're not
yeah,
surprised. You watch, like I was growing up in the '80s. So Ronald Reagan was he represented what America
hmm,
was and all its potential going forward. At the time, we were dealing with the Cold War, and Russia was we knew who our enemy was.
yeah,
And growing up, he was not perfect. And looking back, there were certain things that, he could completely got wrong.
hmm,
But hindsight, is always 2020.
yeah,
But there was such a respect on both sides of the aisle. There were Democrats for Reagan.
hmm,
There were, I forget what I think they were called, Democrats for Reagan. It wasn't so polarizing.
yeah,
Walter Mondale won, I think, one state when he ran against him in the second term. I mean, because we were all united.
yeah,
We all had the same idea where the direction the country's going. And right now, I think that every 4 years, when there's a presidential election or any election for that matter,
hmm,
is that they bring out the talking points. They never fix it.
yeah,
Like nobody cares about whether you're pro-life or pro-choice until there's an election. And the worst
yeah,
is when they forget about the black community for three years and 10 months, and all of a sudden they're all concerned about the black community. They
yeah,
get the vote, and then they ignore the black community time and time again.
yeah.
And if you don't believe in that, then why don't we have school choice?
Right. I do see that that a lot of members of the Black community have realized that now, thankfully. Um, I don't know if it's enough, but it's interesting to me how obvious it is that it's okay. These issues are just coming up every 4 years, and then it's gone
You
again.
know, it's like I had a boxer, and he would always go into the dirty laundry and take the dirty laundry, play with it, and leave it on the floor, and act as if um, nothing's wrong here. Don't look here, and if it's there, I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
That's what it's like right now. It's so obvious, but yet this is why the media is biased,
hmm,
because when it's obvious, but it does not fit the story that they're going, their narrative,
yeah,
they just hide it.
yeah,
And I think that suppression of free speech in the media was never contemplated by the First Amendment and the Constitution.
hmm,
How take a perfect example is the when they found a Biden laptop, how they suppressed as fake news even though
yes,
they knew it was real.
yes,
That could have
yes,
caused that's election interference
hmm,
101.
yep,
Or how they go against certain people and put them in jail versus other people, they look the other way.
yeah,
And what's scary about this, and this is why I'm fighting every day for the charity, is I don't want to live in a country that takes political prisoners and puts people behind bars for years
hmm,
for doing something that is so American to begin with. And I'll give you a perfect example. We have this case. Her name is Tina Peters. Tina
yes,
Peters is, I don't know if you're familiar with
hmm.
Tina Peters. Okay, so for
But
the
yeah, the
audience who
audience,
doesn't
yep,
know Tina Peters is part of the supervisor of elections in Colorado. And after the 2020 election, what they ended up doing was they required that the Dominion machines be updated, which the way that they had to handle it was curious. It would delete all the voter rolls, all the voter data.
hmm,
And people at that time, and currently as well, were questioning those voter reels and
yeah,
the voter data.
yeah,
So why would the state of Colorado instruct somebody to destroy the evidence when all of that was in question? So she took that information, instead of destroying it, she took the data and sent it to a whistleblower.
yeah,
Not because she was trying to commit a crime, but she was trying to do just the opposite. And by
yeah,
the way, if she followed the state's instructions, she would have committed a crime,
yeah,
because the federal law says you cannot erase the election reels,
yeah,
the election data. So now she's a 75, 76-year-old woman in jail with an 8-year sentence.
hmm,
And just to put that in perspective, Matt Kavanaugh, Justice Kavanaugh, somebody tried to assassinate him
yeah.
at his home. And you know what the jail time is?
What?
It's 7 or 8 years. So you could try to murder a Supreme Court justice and get the same amount of jail time as saving election data, not because you're doing anything with malice, you're doing things purely American.
Yeah,
And this is what we're dealing with. So we're trying to get her released, and hopefully we will. It
yeah,
looks like that's the direction we're going. But a battle like that has cost our charity hundreds of thousands of dollars.
yeah,
And nobody realizes one of my biggest responsibilities is raising enough money so we can fight the fight, so that we can continue doing what we need to do. And that's why I'm going on podcasts like this,
yeah,
so that people are aware of what we're doing. I think it's very critical, so that as a parent of two, I could transfer this country
hmm,
to the next generation and be proud of what America stood for
yeah,
and what it still stands for.
yeah. In Tina Peters' case, it's almost like she was damned if she did, damned if she didn't, because
Yeah.
they wanted her to break a law. She tried to do the moral thing and fight for Americans, and then yeah, got thrown in. It,
My biggest concern is nobody should go to jail when they don't have any malice and they don't
yeah,
realize they're even breaking the law. And the way the law is written right now, you have federal prosecutors with over a 95% success rate in putting you behind bars. So
Mhm.
every case they pursue, with utmost certainty, you're going to jail if they want you. They can
Yeah.
put you in jail. They have endless resources. But it's the selective prosecution, how they went after
Yeah.
Trump on cases when people could say, oh, he's a criminal, he's this, he's that. But nobody could define what the criminal act was.
Right.
Nobody knows. Same thing with
Right.
Roger Stone. Nobody knows what he actually did. They just say he's a criminal and belongs
Yep.
behind bars.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like they're doing it just for those sound bites. Oh, we've got a felon president, 35 felonies, that they can just throw that out there without even understanding anything behind what they're saying.
Yeah, it's that poem though that 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 resonates the most with me from World War II, from the Holocaust. And it didn't bother me because I wasn't a communist. It didn't bother me because I wasn't a Jew. It didn't bother me because I wasn't fit your the 7 or 8 other things. But
Mhm.
now there's nobody to even complain to. I
Yeah.
mean, at this point, and this is what it's about. It's not what your viewpoint is. You could be a Democrat or a Republican. It's not a political thing. It's an American thing. It's, if they do it against us, now we're doing it against you. And
Mhm.
now it's back and forth. So whoever's in office is going to go against the other side and vice versa. So what's going to happen is that anybody who is concerned about their family, concerned about their freedom, they're not going to run for office
Yeah.
because they'll go after you. And it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
They can get you on RICO laws. They can get you on tax evasion. They'll find something.
Yeah.
You do a deep dive into everybody, you'll find something. And when you don't, they'll come up with something like they did against Trump with the state of New York.
Mhm. It it honestly make and I'm a nobody still, but it makes me fearful for the next election if a Democrat were to win. Because I think they're going to continue to weaponize the legal system.
Correct. Correct. And what I realize is that the president, the current president, is exposing the truth.
Mhm.
And when you had Doge and you had all of these things that people questioned, you realized what the truth was. Because why wouldn't either party want to curtail government waste?
Yeah.
And then when they point out the ridiculous money spent, billions on charities
Yeah.
or NGOs that serve no benefit to the American voter,
Yeah.
um, it just questions you, raises so many questions. And I, like you and the majority of your listening audience, you work your butt off. And for every 5 days you're working and thinking you're working for yourself, really you're only working 3 of those days for you and your family. The other
Mhm.
2 days you're working for the government. You don't realize you're a government employee,
Yeah.
but when you pay your taxes, you find out really quickly you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they spend your money that you could spend much more prudently than they could in projects. We should all be irate.
Yeah.
Why does, if they said, okay, you owe, you made $100,000 this year and you owe, between payroll tax and income tax, you owe $40,000.
Mhm.
So you made 60,000. Now what does that 40,000 get you? Of
Yeah.
which 25,000 covers health expenses of other people,
Yeah.
because we can't curtail the expenses. Then you see pharmaceuticals making record profits. I mean, it's crazy. It's just absolutely nuts.
Yeah. I purposely don't look at my pay stubs. I
Mhm.
do this is something I do on top of working full time, and I I have never studied my pay stubs, which maybe I should because I might find an error or whatever, but my
Yeah.
paychecks are consistent, but I don't even want to know how much money I'm giving to the government because I know I'm going to be so upset.
I calculated once because as an attorney, I created the strategy for one of my clients who's a doctor, and we saved him hundreds of thousands of dollars. But
Mhm.
I realized, I said, okay, well, we understand taxes from a different perspective. We look at it as a necessary evil, call it that. But we don't
Yeah.
look at it as how much time we all work every day
Yeah.
as a government employee. Because if you're giving at the end of the day, everything's taxed. And then if you make too much of income, they have an alternate minimum tax. They have all
Mhm.
of these things. And it's all of it is unfair.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you really look at how many days you're working for the government instead of working for you, it's 40% of your time every day
Yeah.
you work for the government.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible. Terrible to think about.
Yeah.
Imagine what you could do with the rest of that money. I
I
in
know. And then you have
I
colleges that get government grants no matter what they do,
yes.
no matter what position they say. And the
Mhm.
colleges, because the government says with these Stafford loans that they'll guarantee the
Mhm.
tuition payments, you have students who are going to incur exceptional debt. So they have
Yeah.
to basically keep them working to pay off the debt.
Mhm.
And yet the schools, they increase the tuition 5% every year, even if we're in a year of no inflation
Yeah.
whatsoever. And it could be a lot more,
Yeah.
but it's on average 5% when the inflation rate's about half of that. So now each generation is going to incur exponentially more debt because the government guarantees the tuition, and the tuition goes twice as fast as the inflation rate.
Yeah. Yeah, the college I went to, I still go there and volunteer at their botanical center sometimes, and that's where I worked when I was a student. And I noticed that even though enrollment was going down, they were still raising tuition, and then they would charge 100 and some dollars for a parking space. They would
Yeah.
overcharge. They wouldn't have enough parking. They would sell more parking spaces than they actually had. And then with their money, they went ahead and repaved the this parking space for the faculty and staff, and would just do stuff to spend money on the staff and not encourage students to continue to go there. And it's like, and you wonder why enrollment is dropping here. Like, you're not making it, you see the student parking lot, and it's like, well, okay, that's filled with potholes. They're just, I feel like they just spend their money wastefully. They'll cut programs. Oh, enrollment's down. Let's cut programs, but we're going to go ahead and repave this parking lot. And I feel like
Right.
when you're getting handouts like that, government handouts, that's what happens. It's misspent
Yeah.
oftentimes.
You take away the incentive to be profitable.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like the old system that we've had for centuries is, all right, if the budget's $100,000 or $1 million, let's use $1 million. And we don't use $1 million, we use 900,000. Next year, we won't get $1 million. So we have
Hmm.
to waste $100,000, if not more. That
Yeah.
mentality is so incredibly wrong. And it's crazy. It blows
Yeah.
my mind.
Yeah.
And you talk about waste. There's the waste.
Yeah. That's that's probably why they painted all the maintenance UTVs a certain
Yeah.
color. Like, oh, so it's
Yeah, let's just keep the work, keep the expenses, but it's not going to benefit
yeah.
anybody except those who have the contracts to do the work that's not needed.
Hmm. What do you feel about what happened with January 6th?
I'm just trying to explain this in a concise way.
And I know, and sorry, I kind of take hard turns on questions
No, no,
sometimes.
no, no. I appreciate it. I enjoy these hard turns. I think if you go back to that era and you
Hmm.
have like George Floyd and you
Yeah.
have people who are upset on the left or on the right. So we'll compare the George Floyd. There was a left movement, which was George Floyd, a right movement, which is January 6th.
Hmm.
Now, there was the main difference between those two are the people who protested or rioted just for the sake of this argument or the sake of this podcast. I'm going to nicely use the word protest. I'm not going to use
Okay.
the word riot.
Okay.
People saw an injustice, they protested. One group resulted in hundreds of millions of dollars of damaged property. You
Mhm.
have black-owned businesses that got destroyed, which make 0 sense. People were allowed to protest during a time where you couldn't go to church because of COVID restrictions,
Yeah.
but protesting was an acceptable um, outing if it was the right type of protest.
Yeah.
Then you have January 6th. You have people who, right or wrong, in their core gut, believed that America was no longer the land of the free,
Mhm.
that this election was interfered with.
Yeah.
And from the evidence that I have right now, I know that there are a lot of irregularities.
Mhm.
But if I say I think it was fixed or I think it was stolen, my First Amendment right has been taken away from me because there are many results, negative implications, me just saying that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I have to speak. My freedom of speech right now is being restricted because I have to basically kowtow to a lot of people because they're saying you can say this or you can't say that.
Mhm.
With that being said, go to January 6th. There are a lot of people that were very upset.
Yeah.
Then there was this guy by the name of Ray Epps that nobody really
Yes.
knows. And Ray Epps, for the audience who doesn't know, was this guy on January 5th. He was telling everybody, tomorrow we're going to storm the Capitol. They got him on footage, like going around. And then when everyone, probably had nothing to do with him, but when people went into the Capitol building and they walked through it, and they weren't the overwhelming majority of these people weren't looters.
Mhm.
They weren't violent. They were protesting. Yet the government handled it completely different and called it an insurrection.
Uh-huh.
What is an insurrection? An insurrection is the intentional idea to overthrow the government. Well, if that was the truth, then why didn't anyone go into that building with guns?
Yeah.
Why wasn't there violence? I could ask a dozen questions there. I know the answer.
Mhm.
It wasn't an insurrection. It was a
Right.
protest. Now, was it a wise protest? No. You
Right.
don't trespass to protest. But when the doors were pretty much open after some time and people were just walking in and you see police escorting these people into the Capitol building,
Yes.
at that point it's no longer an insurrection.
Right.
By everyone's definition, you could say, I'm not going to go in there, but you see police officers walking you through and say, all right, guys, you know, got through.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to stop it. Now, you have these deaths of people that they use, but there's this woman, her name is Ashley Babbitt.
Yep.
Ashley Babbitt, we have on video of a police officer point blank taking a gun and shooting her in the head, costing her
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
Nothing happened to that officer. We can't
Right.
even get answers.
Yeah.
So when you go to January 6th, there's a lot of people who have conspiracy theories, and I can go into dozens of them. The same
Yeah.
thing with the JFK assassination.
Right.
The question that you have to ask is, why isn't the government answering the most basic questions? Why didn't, when President Trump at the time, tried to get the Capitol Police there, and the person in charge of the House Majority Leader, which at that time was Nancy Pelosi,
Mhm.
refused, and as recently as yesterday is now
Yeah.
changing her story, which is a complete and total lie.
Mhm.
The facts are the facts. You can't change it.
Yeah.
What was really going on? But if we question that and we don't criminalize the people who walked through there, and there were some people that deserved to go to jail,
Right.
absolutely. But for the
Yeah.
same reasons during the George Floyd riots, people causing fires and the media saying this is a mostly peaceful
Yeah.
riot. I
Yeah.
mean, we're not asking for the media to cover things in our favor if you're conservative. What
Right.
you're asking the media is to objectively cover things so that you can articulate a reason that is devoid of bias.
Mm-hmm.
And we're both right or left, we're both guilty of that. The bias is always there. You watch Fox News, you'll see the bias. You'll
Mm-hmm.
watch CNN, especially Rachel Maddow, you'll see the bias.
Yeah.
We don't have a single outlet right now, not one news outlet. My son asked me this because he challenges everything that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
His stepfather is on the other political aisle and tells him things which I appreciate because I allow my son to become a free thinker and
Yeah.
challenge what you're hearing.
Yeah.
But he said, okay, if this news outlet's biased and Fox News outlet on the other side is biased, where do we go?
Yeah.
There is no news outlet that will clearly identify it. We used to think it was The Economist. They're not even close
Yeah.
to being, or the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times for the last decade has been blatantly biased. The
Yeah.
New York Post maybe because they were the one that released the Hunter Biden. But still, where do
Mm-hmm.
you go? And that's the problem. You cannot get information that is vetted and completely neutral of bias.
Yeah.
And as a country, we wonder why everyone's so polarized on one or the other. I mean, take Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the objective truth, not the subjective, the objective, he was a Christian. He was a devout Christian. Everything he stood for was based on his faith in Jesus. And he may know, he had no qualms about saying that.
Yeah.
But to say he was racist,
Right.
to say he was sexist, to say he was anti LGBTQ is completely inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
This guy lost his life because of this rhetoric.
Yeah.
We don't have objectivity anymore. And what is a perfect example is why was Charlie Kirk racist? Because he didn't raise Martin Luther King up. He questioned the things that he did that were worthy of being questioned.
Mm-hmm.
Infidelity, for example, which is a known thing,
Mm-hmm.
or the fact that he was around people that would allow women to be treated awfully. But no one looks that way because Martin Luther King Jr., he did amazing things.
Yeah.
He spoke his message, not the person, his message was exceptional. The only way to get rid of racism is through peace. We don't fight one another, we work together. What
Mm-hmm.
are we doing? We're not taking his message, we're not taking, you know, Charlie Kirk's message, which is coming from Jesus, if you believe in Christianity, or even fundamental religion, Judaism and Islam. I think in Islam, but I know in Judaism, it's the same message.
Yeah.
But we don't follow that. And then you hear a man who follows the principles of his religion that is nonviolent in any which way, and they assassinate him, and people spit on his grave. That is because the media is so biased,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not considering anything. They're using the audience as puppets
Yeah.
because the same issues that Biden spoke about or Hillary Clinton spoke about against years ago are the issues down there completed a 180. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself why. And it's the answer is, I think, is right there. It's the quest for power.
Yeah.
And if you have everyone in agreement, you have no power.
Yeah. Yeah. What bothers me about it is that there are so many people willing to be puppets of the media. They won't stop and ask. And I guess I used to vote Democrat, and just the experience of living down in Austin, Texas, and then moving out to Bastrop, seeing the difference between the two, because they're very different politically. And it opened my eyes to kind of the games that people play, and I just wish everyone could have that experience, because I also don't, like I understand I can't trust everything that conservative media says or conservative politicians say. You have to use critical thinking. And I
Yeah,
think that people don't want to take the time to. They'd rather just let their emotions lead them. And I think that's causing a lot of problems with our country today.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to tell you about my sponsors real quick. Sometimes I need a boost before my bike ride, but pounding an energy drink or coffee beforehand just isn't an option. What I love about Quantum Energy Squares is that they're made with 10 grams of plant protein and 100 milligrams of natural caffeine, equal to an 8-ounce cup of coffee. I get the boost I need without having to drink fluids that weigh me down or cause a pit stop during my ride. They have over 2,500 reviews with customers raving about their delicious flavors, like caramel almond sea salt and my favorite, dark chocolate pink Himalayan salt. My discount code gives you 25% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit quantumsquares.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening, and I need a boost but don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brand's pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high-protein snacks for on-the-go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. Are you looking for a gift for a music lover, or maybe some apparel to show off your quirky side? Old Glory has you covered. With over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture, you're guaranteed to find the perfect item. They even have seasonal gear. My husband enjoys the Beatles and Led Zeppelin apparel, and I love the Billy Idol apparel. I even found items for my fellow plant enthusiasts. This family-owned superstore is known for their quality and customer service, offers free standard shipping on all orders, and orders are shipped the same day you purchase. My discount code gives you 15% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit oldglory.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. I wish there was a system where, because when you're talking about the fine people on both sides, I have seen where people have been called out, well, why don't you look at the full clip? They'll watch the full clip, but then they will continue to repeat that. Now, I think that if it's a blatant lie, how are they able to get away with that? I understand we have freedom of speech, but I think if you are in a position of power, you almost need to be held to a higher standard. But I don't know how to figure.
Because getting back to plug in my organization, the American Rights Alliance, it's a First Amendment free speech organization, and we need more people to litigate these things because
Mhm.
they're expensive. I mean, for every time we raise a dollar, I mean, we have $2 worth of expenses because litigation's not is not inexpensive. It's quite expensive,
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of dollars to try one case.
Yeah.
And this is on discounted legal fees. This is not on, your typical.
Yeah.
And you also have people who are fearful of their jobs. They're fearful of just saying things. You realized how many people voted for Trump that you would never expect
Mhm.
that they would have voted for Trump because they fear speaking
Yeah.
out. And this is what the problem is with the country right now. It's a major problem. We
Mhm.
no longer have freedom of speech because if we say what we feel, all of a sudden you can't get a job. You're no longer
Yeah.
employable. And the employer may say, I even agree with you. But in the world that we live in, we don't longer have that freedom,
Hmm.
and both sides, because
Yeah.
like I thought what Jimmy Kimmel said was deplorable. It was
Yeah.
despicable. But he should not have been kicked off the air for saying that. But at the same time, he should not be put on the air if he's not profitable.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that's crazy. Nobody's watching his show, yet they still continue. Like, you're in a network, you're in a business, and you know you're going to lose money
Yeah.
from that product, and yet you're still producing the same product. At
Yeah.
the same hour, you have the Gutfield show. I believe it's the same hour. And he has 3-4 times the audience.
Yeah.
Yet they're still going along a anti-Trump agenda, and rightfully so. But it makes no sense that there is no late night show on TV other than cable that
Hmm.
says the exact same thing Jimmy Fallon says, but from a pro-Trump position
Yeah.
or a neutral position. I mean, Jimmy
Yeah.
Kimmel. But Jimmy Fallon is no better. None of them are. There's not one person who says, you know what, I'm going to stay out of it, or I'm going to give both sides of it.
Yeah.
Who wants to be insulted every night based on what their core beliefs are because this person is out to get you? And
Yeah.
in a free market, the audience should decide, and we have, but yet, why are the networks airing this? It
Yeah.
just makes no sense. It's just, if it was so important and so interesting, his ratings or these ratings would follow,
Hmm.
but they don't.
Yeah. What's strange to me is I liked Stephen Colbert, his older show on the Colbert Report on
Yes, he
Comedy
was
Central.
funny.
Yes, and Jimmy Fallon, he clearly has talent. He can be funny. I
Yeah,
don't understand why they're just leaning in on on this Republican hating thing that's only losing them viewers. I would love to
yeah,
watch them again if they were actually being funny and not using
yeah,
insults and pretending they're jokes. They're just straight up insulting people.
correct. And what Jimmy Kimmel said was beyond despicable. Here's a guy who has gotten assassinated,
Hmm.
and he's trying to say, well, it's not the rhetoric that I believe in, it's the rhetoric that I'm not in agreement with, which is the conservative rhetoric. And this guy is a conservative, a flat out lie. You may disagree with the movement and the party,
Hmm.
but there's some sort of respect that's
Yeah.
long gone.
Yeah.
And what's really messed up is that if you do not have any inkling to understand what's going on in politics, you would think the majority of America is following the same ideology as those late night shows.
Right.
And then you hear their audience laughing and applauding it, but they're being told to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Their comedy is so not funny that they have to put a sign that says applause or laugh, because they can't authentically get those laughs
Hmm.
for applauses.
Yeah.
The only one on that side I kind of like is Bill Maher, because at least
Yeah.
he has objective reality, and he doesn't mind jabbing, and he keeps saying that the left is always welcome on my show, but they don't want to go. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that he can't get the people that he voted for, Obama or
Yeah.
Biden, but yet he gets welcome to the White House when Trump's there, although he
Yeah.
was never welcome there when Biden or Obama was in the office. Just amazes. The difference is that
Hmm.
we have freedom of opinion, and we will welcome you into our world and challenge you. You have people like Charlie Kirk, who's got assassinated for that, but Ben
Yeah.
Shapiro, prime example. Ben Shapiro, and I can list dozens of others
Hmm.
that will take your opposing viewpoint and not trash you, have an honest conversation, and
Yeah.
move on. Like, you can't even have an honest conversation at the dinner, because I have an aunt who recently passed. May she rest in peace. Loved her to death. Awesome, awesome woman. so far on the other side of politics.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, every time she came back, at least she had the freedom in our household to mention what she felt. I thought she was nuts, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I respected the fact that that was her truth. And if I could get her from 80%, 90% anti Trump to 70% or 60%, that's
Yeah.
all I care about. Like, I'm not gonna convince you on everything, but let's find certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And when Trump decided to bomb Iran
Mm-hmm.
with the mother of all bombs, maybe it was the medication she was on, but she was happy. It's like, finally.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny. It's hard to find people like that anymore because I would
Oh,
try to have conversations with my liberal friends and they would not budge on a single thing. It's like you can't list one single thing that Trump did that you
no, but
are okay with.
But the problem that you have is when you argue with an intellectual, they'll use explanations and viewpoints, facts, data. When you argue with an idiot, you're arguing with somebody who's going to call you a racist
Yeah.
because everything you disagree with, you can't argue back because you're a racist.
Right. Right.
You're a sexist.
Yeah.
Misogyny is like there's certain words that when you can't argue with the facts, you call the other side racist.
Yeah.
Everything to this day is racist. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Math is racist. Did you know that? So now,
I
I
have
think
heard.
it's New York, they're dropping the AP courses because it tends to be white kids that do better than other. And I think Asians and whites are
Hmm.
getting into these advanced schools, and they're going
Yeah.
to get rid of it because it's unfair because it's racist.
Yeah.
Even when it's
That's
objective, the SATs were racist.
right.
Everything is racist. I mean, I don't understand. And what you do is you devalue true racism.
Yes.
You devalue the struggle of what people had to go through when there was blatant racism,
Yeah.
where it said, the signs in the 20s, forget about blacks, no Irish apply, right? I
Right.
mean, there were racism within you weren't white, the white right, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
You may have been able to use a water fountain, but you couldn't seek employment, right? And I'm not downgrading all of the atrocities that occurred. I
Hmm.
mean, atrocities, slavery, separation, separate but equal,
Yeah.
encouraging the separation of family values, causing more people to be reliant upon the government
Hmm.
and using it as a race thing. I mean, there's so many things. But when Obama came into the office, he had an ability to prove that, hey, as a society, we moved past this. 2 times was this black president in
Yeah.
office. If this
Yeah.
country is so inherently racist, he won not only the electoral votes, but he won the popular votes.
Right.
The overwhelming majority of
Yeah.
white people
Yeah.
voted for him.
Yeah. Yep.
Incredible. Yet, we can't say it was voter fraud, but more black people voted for Biden than they did for Obama, which, if you stick your head in a hole, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Don't look here. Don't look there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And God
That's
forbid we question the voter irregularities. That makes us an election denier, and that makes us somebody who, is an extreme person, and we may be put on a list, and we may be identified as
hmm
a domestic terrorist.
yeah.
And that's how far this country has gone.
What bothers me so much about that is that if you look at the statistics, it, it's obvious something weird happened there. I know a lot of people are like, well, I know a lot of people that voted for what was it, Trump last time, that voted for Biden this time, and it's like, but there's still a lot of votes that came out of nowhere, and
I mean,
it's
when you saw all these votes, these paper ballots, first of
mhm,
all, it's just the coincidence of COVID, and I'm not going down a conspiracy. I have no idea. But the coincidence right before an election,
Hmm.
you had a
Yeah.
virus that came from a town. John Stewart says it best, and he's not on my political side.
Right. Right.
It
But.
came from a town that was researching this specific virus.
Hmm.
And you have the person in charge of our health saying that's not what the cause is. Not even look, do not look there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we have all these paper ballots, and I have evidence, or at least support how those paper ballots came into the system and how they came out and how
Hmm.
they were easily manipulated.
Hmm.
Okay. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Okay. But
Yeah.
just question it. All of a sudden, we have paper ballots. As an American, I think you shouldn't be solicited to vote. It should be your American duty, and we should
Yeah.
all vote on the same day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we all should be able to take it as a national holiday, leave work, and all vote.
Yeah.
I don't think there should be any obstruction to voting. But I think that when you have somebody saying that uh, another racist thing is voting is racist if they ask for ID, because it's so racist to ask for ID. But
Right.
if you really think about it, it's so racist to say that certain groups of people have the inability to get
Yeah.
ID.
Yeah.
But let's not even go there.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. You can't get a credit card. You can't get a cell phone. You can't enroll in school without ID. You can't board an airplane,
Yeah. By
but you can
alcohol.
vote, and you can vote, which will change all of America's direction for years to
Hmm.
come. But you don't even need the most basic form of identification.
Yeah.
So you just ask these questions and they don't match your logical reasoning and an objective truth.
Yeah.
Ask why wasn't the Wuhan lab questioned? Like, why did they discount it so much? Why, when what's his face, the podcaster now, but the guy um, from the UFC, and
Oh,
also
Dana White
from no,
or
not
Joe
Dana
Rogan.
White, Joe Rogan. So
Yeah.
why Joe Rogan, when he took ivermectin,
Hmm.
they said, "Oh, is he's taking horse medicine?" No, like why were they so adamant?
Yeah.
And yet it proved itself right.
Yes. Yeah.
And why did the pharmaceuticals make record amounts of money? And no matter what they did, and no matter how many people get killed,
Hmm.
they are like you can't sue them.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to.
Yeah.
Just ask these questions. And when you can't get normal answers that pass the smell test,
Yeah.
then you know you have a problem. And you can't just question one, you have to question all of them. And you have to ask questions. And those questions don't make you a racist, or don't make you anti American. They don't make you like some conspiracy theorist. It makes you a rational human.
Hmm.
When we trust the government too much, that's the problem that we encounter.
Yeah. So during COVID, I graduated college in May of 2020. And I was in biology but switched to earth science last minute. But what was frustrating was I was supposed to suddenly ignore how viruses work. I was suddenly supposed to ignore the concept of herd immunity after just
Yeah,
learning about it. And I
yeah,
had access to, they'll have online scientific journals on like JSTOR and other stuff. So I was doing my own research because Trump had made the comment about hydroxychloroquine.
mm,
And well, there were other coronaviruses before COVID-19. They had been
yeah,
tested, and the effects of hydroxychloroquine have been studied, and they were
mhm,
found to be helpful in combating coronaviruses. Now, of course, I go back and I try to look for that article and I can't find it. It's somehow not on JSTOR, no matter how much I look for it, even if I pay. But it was showing that with the other 5 or 6 different coronaviruses, it was effective. So they're saying, oh, Trump's just pulling this information out of his ass, but it's like, no, there were actual scientific studies. So why wouldn't one assume that if hydroxychloroquine was effective in treating the other coronaviruses, why wouldn't it be effective in treating COVID-19? Then other people were using hydroxychloroquine for other things like arthritis, and suddenly they can't get it because it's been politicized, because medicine has been politicized. And with
Yeah.
the ivermectin, I used to be a vet tech, and we used to give ivermectin to dogs to treat mange. So I knew that the dogs are mammals, so I didn't have any experience with treating humans with ivermectin, but I knew that it was effective with treating mange, and that you can't use it on collies or any dog with a long snout because it does something with your respiratory system. Well, what does COVID-19 affect? Your respiratory system. So I'm coming at this with a science background, and I'm trying to post helpful information, all fact based, and I get shadow banned on everything. And it's like,
Mhm.
to me, it
Yeah.
was clear that they were just doing this to mess with America, and it just, like you had hinted at, it just is funny that it was right before an election, and
Yeah.
or
I mean, just the timing of it, like
mhm,
it was like we're gonna do it. I think it was March. It was when, like, I came back from a trip and I got somebody who is really well politically connected that said that this is much worse than you expect and the government's gonna close. I'm like,
mhm,
no, no way.
right,
And then you saw what happened. This is the
yeah,
world we live in now, and you have somebody who's questioning it, and
mhm,
the president and the cabinet. They say, "Oh, the cabinet is his friends." Well, yeah, look what happened the first term. All
yep,
the people who betrayed him that weren't really for his positions that sold him out. I mean, you're basically aligning yourself with people who want you out, who want you in jail, and they pretend
yeah,
they're your friends. So of course you're going to count on the people that you trust, and they may not be the most ideal people in those positions, right?
yeah,
But they're the people you trust. And if you don't trust them, how are you supposed to work with them when you know that
right,
person will work against you? And they had so many
yeah,
people that worked against the president, especially at the attorney general level,
yeah,
that did things. The first attorney general recused himself from all these investigations, which caused all of the drama and the chaos and the distraction. So don't look here, guys. But the
mhm,
questions that you had, like during the first term, about Ukraine and why they were going after Trump when Biden was the one on record that said that they thought I couldn't fire him, and that son of a bitch got fired. I
right,
mean, it's just, and we, like, I'm not looking to be right all the time. I'm not looking for my position in politics to be prevail all the
mhm,
time. I don't care about that. What I care about is a fair society, a
yeah,
society that's devoid of the corruption, and not to be lied to and acted and treated like we're idiots because we question things. At the end of
yeah,
the day, I look at this country and I go on all artificial intelligence sources. Um, Not that it's valid, but it's a start. And I say, out of all the countries in the world, how corrupt is America versus the rest? Are we the least corrupt? Are we the
mhm,
most corrupt? And you have countries that, like Venezuela, for example, in the
yeah,
mix. We're like, depending on what data point you look at, we're over 20 at the lowest level, over 60 at the highest.
uh-huh,
You have the United Arab Emirates on most of these before us. You have Denmark is always number one. That questions, why are we so accepting to being as corrupt as a nation as we are? And the
mhm,
only answer that, I've posed this question, and one of my friends said it best. He goes, well, we don't have a system like other countries where each country, the country governs from top down.
mhm,
Here we have two governances. We have the state level, we have the federal, and sometimes they clash, right?
yeah,
So the corruption on the low level is easy because there's so many people in positions on the local levels, the school boards and all of that. Assuming that's correct, our system by default can never be perfect,
Right.
but we shouldn't still be rated 20th to 60th.
Yeah.
I mean, I would take the top 10. I mean, we pride ourselves in being number one in everything.
Yeah.
Why can't we be close to number one in something that matters the most?
Yeah.
I'm concerned about being charged or having people I'm close to charged with criminal activity for no criminal act, but because of a deprivation of my freedom of speech, that I looked to or questioned something and I should not have, and now I'm considered a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
It's just, this is not the country that we grew up in.
Right. Yeah.
Trying to fight it back, and that's what the American Rights Alliance is doing. Trying to
Mhm.
take people out of the prisons that are criminalized for speaking out against the system. Take
Yeah.
Tina Peters, perfect example. We have dozens of these cases that we're representing. We have the woman who had the Ashley Biden diary. Her name's Amy Harris.
Yeah.
Amy, um, picture this. She goes to, she gets, finds Ashley Biden's diary. Obviously, it was left there. Obviously, it was, basically almost discarded. Call it whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you have somebody who brokers a deal for $40,000. So she gets 20,000. The broker gets 20,000 to release this. And I think
Mhm.
James O'Keefe, Project Veritas at the time.
Mhm.
No, maybe it wasn't. It was OMG. I don't think he was from Project Veritas. Regardless, it's James O'Keefe.
Okay.
James O'Keefe publishes the diary. This woman gets jail time. She's now a felon. For what? Nobody in the history that I know of went to jail for something like
Yeah.
this. You know, if you leave it somewhere and you don't go back to leave it to claim it,
Yeah.
it's no longer yours. It's finders, keepers, losers, weepers. You learned that when you were like in grade school,
Yeah.
right, elementary.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy about that story? It's this evil criminal who's been to jail for to profiting from selling the diary. You know what she used that money for?
What?
Hire an attorney because she was dealing with a custody battle.
Oh.
So she used that money so that she could be a better mom to her children.
Yeah.
That's the crime. I mean, this is where we're going as a
Mhm.
nation, and it's scary.
Yeah.
It is really, really scary. So we were dealing with somebody who, talking about January 6th, he was
Yeah.
a part of the Capitol Police, and he was working with, he knew where Antifa was, and he was
Uh-huh.
working with, I think it was the Proud Boys, and he was going back and forth with the Proud Boys so that the Proud Boys, when they were protesting, did not interact with Antifa. So if
Okay.
Antifa was going right, he was saying go left, like doing everything to avoid it, going back and forth. And he's now in jail because
Why?
of his activities. Because they said that he was working with the Proud Boys during January 6th. So he was a conspirator, I believe is the act, the crime. And I have to double check what the criminal
Yeah.
action was. We're discussing this case because we were trying to get him, or at least helping him so that he didn't go to jail. And now he's jail for, I think it's an 18-month sentence. He
Yeah.
lost his pension, he lost his job, he lost his whole life. Um, Here's a guy who is doing the right thing. He's now labeled a criminal and is going to jail. So you see these cases and you ask yourself, how do I avoid jail and yet express
Yeah.
my freedom of speech?
Yeah.
How? In today's warped society where you can't even identify the most basic thing as objective truth. There's two genders, male and female.
Mhm.
Now there's not. We
Yeah.
blur the lines in everything, but we don't use parallel reasoning for the arguments that we support and the arguments that we're against. For example, if you're pro-choice, it's a right to a woman's body, right? Fine. But yet,
Mhm.
when you're forced to jab, well,
Yeah.
you no longer have that right. Oh, because it fits your
Yeah.
narrative. So you look the other way on certain things. You're not completely objective anymore.
Mhm.
You're biased towards what you want and use arguments like you use toilet paper. You throw them down the drain when you're done.
Yeah.
You you just don't have logical, rational thinking, and you're lied to from everyone. You have the
Hmm.
Supreme Court justice that doesn't know the difference between a man and a woman because she's like, that's a biological question. No, it's a
Yeah.
legal question. It affects you on a legal basis.
Yeah.
You have women who are destroying, men who are destroying women's sports, yet we can't even question the facts and the evidence and all the other things because that makes us either racist or gender, we're anti-feminist, but yet we are
Yeah.
supporting
Right.
the feminist movement. It's
Yeah.
whatever they want to label you. We're just a label now.
Yeah. Yes. I I oftentimes think, well, not often, but when I think about January 6th, I think about back in the lead up to it and how I would see planes full of people in Trump gear ready, flying out to Washington D.C. And I remember telling my husband, I wish I could be there. And now
Yeah.
I'm happy that I wasn't because I I try to think that if I saw the barriers being moved or taken down and then suddenly people are just being flagged in on it, obviously some didn't just get get welcomed in, but others were, you can see on video that they were, oh yeah, come on in, come on in.
Yes, come on
I
in.
don't
Here
know
you
if,
go. Here, join the parade. Welcome.
yeah, and I, because I'm
I'm
a,
not thinking about it. You're not
yeah,
thinking about it until you feel like you're welcomed in.
yeah, and I'm a friendly person. I talk to all sorts of people. I'll I'll end up, I can end up going places that maybe, like there's a tulip festival that we have in town, and I was just walking, or not our town, but a different town in Iowa. I was walking down the street. I saw these cool tulips. I talked to a guy. He happened to be the gardener for this historical building. They weren't doing tours or anything, but he's like, well, you want to, yeah, come look, blah, blah, blah. I have the list of all the species of tulips right here. So that's the type of person I am. Just talking, you end up getting to see things that you wouldn't normally get to see.
Yeah.
So I maybe would have ended up walking into the Capitol if somebody was welcoming me in, and then maybe I could have ended up going to jail just because I was, okay, everybody else is walking in. It seems peaceful. Why not?
Yes. So give you a perfect example. On January 6th, this gentleman by the name of Trennis Evans, he's the COO of my charity, the American Rights Alliance. I'm going to plug it for a second,
Oh, yeah,
AmericanRightsAlliance.org.
absolutely. Yeah.
Uh, he was there with a megaphone, and he was in the Capitol building because he thought it was just a walk-in protest.
Hmm.
And was it the most intelligent thing he did? He's highly intelligent. No, no, goes down to one of the lower intelligent, lesser of the intelligent things he said. I don't even think that
Hmm.
sounds intelligent, but it wasn't the smartest moment in his life. But all of us in those shoes may have made the same decision, right?
Yeah.
So he did everything he can to keep it peaceful on the microphone. He's like, "This is just a protest. This is peaceful. We're not um, here to destroy. Please walk through. Remain peaceful."
Hmm.
So the government went to get him. So let's just use common sense. Here's a guy who has no criminal backgrounds, and the government he knows that he's a part of the January 6th. He hires an attorney, and common sense is the Department of Justice will call the attorney and says, you know what, next week or tomorrow he needs to surrender. Check himself in and surrender. And what do you think the likelihood of that happening would be? It's 100%. I
Yeah.
mean, he's not going to become a career felon. So he knows this is going to likely happen, and he's trying to figure out, with his attorney, what the right thing to do is. Okay. The cost of himself surrendering to the taxpayer would have been $0
Hmm.
and 0 cents. Nada, nothing. Rather, while he was with his children in his home, they had not one, not two, but dozens of law enforcement agents, guns loaded,
Hmm.
right aimed, red targets on all him and his family, his children, teenage children.
Yeah.
so that they can make a spectacle in front of his family. Do you realize how bad that is? They do this all the time.
Mm.
CNN just coincidentally, by happen chance, knew that Roger Stone was going to get arrested. Same thing. He was ready talking. But
Yeah.
yet James Comey can self-surrender.
Right.
This is why we question things. This is why we are a country of conspiracy theorists, because we don't have common sense answers to these things.
Yeah.
We see a great disparity in how things are being treated and people are being treated, and we don't like it.
Hmm.
But we can't fight back without the fear of having guns towards you. This is
Yeah.
not a free society anymore.
Right.
And we lost that freedom. We just didn't realize we have. I
Yeah.
mean, and social media has really helped slip that exponentially, because God forbid you say something, you're shadow banned
Right.
or
Right.
you're kicked off. And there's this ambassador of truth that I believe, I haven't looked into this. I've heard this a couple of times. So if I'm wrong, my apologies. But I think um, Prince, it's not Prince Harry. What's the other Prince? There's King Charles, Prince Harry, and Prince.
Now I can't even think of his name.
The
And I
one
should.
that's not married to Meghan Markle.
Right.
Which one is that? Prince
Henry.
William, right?
Oh,
Or
there's
whoever
Harry and is there Henry?
is it William? The one
It might
that's
be
not
William.
married. The one that's married to Kate Middleton.
Okay.
He is a part of this organization that decides what is free speech. I mean, what is truth and what is fake.
Hmm.
So all over social media, whatever that standard is, they decide now what your freedom of speech is. And if you say something that they say is not true,
Oh.
you're all of a sudden you're removed from your freedom of the speech.
Yeah.
Speak. You had the president of the United States kicked off platforms.
Right. Which
I mean,
isn't that
yet
election
you had
interference also?
people in charge of Hamas that were preaching
Hmm.
death to America, death to Israel.
Yeah.
Here you go. You're okay.
Yeah.
But yet we question this. We say, why is this happening? And we're the problem now. Now we're the target.
Right. Yeah.
You look at this country where it's gone, and the path of exceptionalism and the brilliance that got us to the point we're here. The American heroes on both sides of the political aisle, the wars.
Hmm.
And you look at 1776. You look at the Revolutionary War. You said these people would have been hung for their rights, because they were considered, going against. They were considered committing treason.
Mm.
Fortunately, the war was won on the American side, so now they became their founding fathers. But if it wasn't, they would have all been hanged, right?
Yeah.
We look back and we have all these times that we put our lives for an idea of freedom. We put our
Mm.
lives at risk so that we could pass the torch to the next generation. But we're now part of what I call the selfish generation, the me first generation. And
Yeah.
nobody cares about anything other than themselves.
Yeah.
And this is where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary.
Yeah.
So yes, I think that what you're doing is important, and I want to make sure that the audience knows everything about it. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we get to that?
I mentioned it. We are the American Rights Alliance. You can go to
Hmm.
the website, americanrightsalliance.org. You could find us on all social media. It's Donate ARA or ARA Donate, depending on which social media platform you use. And we a small donation, a substantial donation, and everything in between is greatly appreciated. And for every dollar we come in, we have $2 to $10 that we need to spend. And it's hard to keep a charity running when you're fighting so hard for everyone else's freedom and
Hmm.
to make this country live to the potential that we were promised as children. And we can't do that without your help, without the audience's help. And that's why I'm taking this time to speak up on
Yeah.
behalf of all of us. We're here for you. And we're here to fight for the injustices that are happening to you and to your neighbors. I don't have to agree with you. In fact, I'm fighting so I don't have to agree with you.
Yeah.
But I should also have the right to disagree with you and for my right to be heard.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I would say that if there is anywhere for the people who are afraid for their own future, for simply what they believe in, that your organization is one that they would definitely, should definitely support. So,
And Samantha, I appreciate your time and I thank you for helping.
yeah,
Taking the last hour a little bit longer than that and just
sorry.
really allowing me to be me in
Yeah.
your audience and to speak up for what we are seeing. We're dealing with James O'Keefe as one of our clients. I
Oh, I
mentioned him
see.
earlier.
Yeah.
Here's a guy who is exercising his freedom of speech, and I don't agree with him on a lot of things that he says. I really
Mhm.
don't, but I'm fighting for his right to say it
Yeah.
without fear of being sued and financially destroyed.
Yeah.
So what's happening to James is if you don't like what James is doing, everyone's suing him now. And
Right.
those cases are 60, 80, 90,000 per case.
Mhm.
He's being sued by somebody just because he followed the law. I mean,
Yeah.
the person was saying things awfully about the president while benefiting from the president using his power,
Yeah.
and he exposed the truth, and now he's being sued. This shouldn't happen. I mean, we shouldn't be so scared to speak truth, as long as it's truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
That even when we fight truth, people don't care on the other side of the truth that they're losing money.
Mhm.
They'll shut you down just because they're going to threaten you. And
Yeah.
if you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars as a war chest, your freedom of speech is taken away from you in fear that not that if you exercise your freedom of speech, your wallet is going to take
Yeah.
you know be exposed. And everything you thought, is it worth the hundreds of thousands? Like all the sacrifices. I mean, I already started this conversation. 40% of your day is working
Yeah.
for the government. So the other 60% of your day, you're working for free. I mean, we're working for yourself and your family.
Yeah.
Do you want half of that day spent on these lawsuits? So what do most people do? Which is what everyone would do in those situations. They don't speak up anymore. They're
Yeah.
fearful. And that's what the other side, not left or right, but that's what the enemy is saying
Yeah.
to do. And I'd fight this just as violently and just as hard if it's a right wing organization taking a left wing's First Amendment rights. I'm
Yeah.
not political. I just see it from my perspective, and I see what's happened, and I see the great disparity right now. And I'm not only no longer shocked. I'm just disappointed in the American dream that we have in the most incredible nation that we have, where people
Mhm.
from all walks of life can come here and make it.
Yeah.
And yet we're scared to say the most elemental, most basic, most honest things that we say. You know how many times I hear people whisper in my ear, "Thank you. You're doing great work."
Yeah.
But they're so scared they can't speak out.
Yeah.
They'll lose their job. They can't go to college because if they didn't get the jab, they're no longer allowed to go into the schools.
Mhm.
Um, whatever it is, their freedom to exercise their fundamental rights, the core of our country's existence. It's not the Second Amendment, it's the first, because without the first, none of the others matter.
Yep. Yep.
And we're here at a turning point right now where we could either go down one rabbit hole or the other, and we can exponentially limit our rights to speak, or we can have those rights even though we disagree with
Mhm.
the person on the other side.
Yeah.
Through discourse, we get truth. Without discourse, we're just following our own core beliefs and looking at it from not a perspective of truth, but an emotion
Yeah.
and a feeling. And nobody can question this, then that belief becomes our reality, and we're lost as a nation.
Yeah.
And what makes this nation such an amazing one is that you don't have to be one color, one religion, one creed. You can all succeed. You can all succeed. But now we're taking it away from people because they are too successful. And that's also
Yeah.
fearful.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's we're in scary times. I hope we can get things back on track. I think it's going to take some time.
We will, but it's not without our fight. And with wonderful organizations, including mine, but others as well that are in the battle that I deal with every day. Um, we will win,
Yeah.
but we need money. We
Yeah.
need capitalism to protect capitalism.
Yes. Perfect. All right. Well, I will be sure to put all of your information in the show notes so that the listeners can know where to go if they want to donate
Please
and
do. Thank
and
you.
see more about what you're doing. So,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Conversation. I appreciate it also. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. No, thank you for coming on. I this is a very important conversation, and I'm happy to help spread the word.
Thank you, Samantha.
All right. Thank you so much.